Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Nick Alphanine. Now, we have a little bit of a, I just want to read this little tidbit here from, this is the CBDC white paper from Ripple.com. I like to go back and read these things just in case I missed something, okay? But I want to read this little tidbit here. It's on page 10. It's on the right side here, okay? It says, for an even greater level of interoperability, central banks will need the ability to actually exchange assets between ledgers rather than issuing instructions via an API. The key will be for central banks to enable cross-issuance of CBDCs on interoperable ledgers. Each individual CBDC can create its own rules. Each individual CBDC can create its own rules. Now, they don't specify on that, which means that they left it open, maybe because they didn't want to specify, but also maybe it's just open-ended and they can make their own rules in any possible way that they want to, which means what? I want to say this because, and I want to make a correlation because I think a lot of things that are possible with XLM are also possible with XRP. Now, XLM, they had an article come out very recently, which one of my peers covered very extensively and did a great job on that. It was about their Starbridge protocol. And pretty much in that document, you can see where there's a section they're talking about locking in values, which means that if they're locking in values, right, then they're talking about, I would assume, they're talking about closed ecosystems, which removes chunks. If you have a closed ecosystem, that still wouldn't negate from the fact that you have to remove chunks of the circulating supply, which then makes that protocol even more rare. But let's say we're talking about that. Then you're locking value in, right? So you could then, once you have that closed ecosystem, you can determine a set price for that particular asset, right? And you can choose whatever price you want based upon voting and agreements amongst whoever is a part of that closed ecosystem, that network, right? But anyway, when it comes to, but see, here's the thing when it comes to XRP. So let's go back to XRP. I believe XRP could be used in that same way. Here's the thing. So let's take away the closed ecosystem, all right? Because I don't think that that's something, can people use XRP like that? Definitely they could, but I don't think that Ripple would promote that. Why do I say that? See, with XRP, what's great is the fact that Ripple is a for-profit company. Why is that great? It's great because Ripple has a vested interest in the rise of the price of XRP. They need to make a profit from XRP. They stand to benefit greatly from XRP. That's a great thing, which means they're always going to work hard to ensure XRP rises. They cannot put XRP to the side. That's their money bag. That's their brick of gold. They're like Fort Knox right now. They have a huge holding of XRP, which means if that price explodes, Ripple as a company will be one of the biggest companies in history. And what does that mean for you and I as holders of XRP? As the liquidity, you and I are the liquidity. We're a part of that. That means that we will experience an explosion in price, the likes of which no one has ever seen. And don't get me wrong. There will be other explosions when it comes to the bank coins. I expect an explosion out of XLM, but I don't think it's going to take. People hold so much XLM and have held so long, I don't think it's going to take that much of an explosion in price for people to see healthy returns on investment, and then they'll be ready to sell, in my humble opinion. Algorand will explode beyond belief, in my humble opinion. And with its circulating supply, whoo, it will raise. And with its circulating supply, with everything that it's doing, with its staking, and people love to stake Algorand. I love to stake Algorand. It will explode. So yes, there will be a myriad of explosions when it comes to the prices of these bank coins. Each one is different. And there will be levels, in my humble opinion. However, let's go back. This is major. Each individual CBDC can create its own rules. Now, keep in mind, liquidity. Ripple has been screaming in your ear about liquidity. But what did you grasp from that? since you are the liquidity, did you take from that? The fact that the higher the amount of XRP, the easier it is for transactions to go through? Are you grasping that? That the more liquidity that there is, which means the more that the banks pool their money into XRP, the easier it is to have transactions occur, right? And as far as these large transaction values, because remember, so I want to put it like this, okay? And pardon me if I'm not being as eloquent as I could possibly be, but for small transactions, sure, you can use stable coins. That's for regular people. That's for individuals. A dollar peg stable coin, sure, you know, for small transactions here, you move $20 here, $10,000, $20,000. But we're talking about moving into something that's much more efficient. So would I rather use 10,000 USDC to move something here and there, or something else that might, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't want to say that. Somebody else there's going to say, XRP, $10,000? No. Okay. And I'm not saying that it couldn't do that. I'm not saying that either. Let me go with something a little bit lower. Okay. Let's see. $40. $40. Okay. Would you rather move 40 USDC? That's a bad example too, isn't it? Like it's too low. Just as an example, okay? Walk with me. $40 USDC or 1 XRP that's $40. Which one is more efficient? So you see where we're going with that? I'm just putting that out there. So the higher the price, the better, the easier, the more efficient it is. The safer it is, by the way, to move everything in one protocol that's priced a little bit higher than what your typical stable coin is pegged at $1. So you can move a larger amount all at once. Then you really don't have to worry about slippage. The efficiency is that much better. When we're talking about banks, you have to take that into account. You have to. So they have a vested interest as commercial banks and central banks to make that price higher for their own efficiency. For their own efficiency. To move into the future, they're going to need an agnostic bridge currency that also can serve as a liquidity token. Then on top of that, keep in mind how much XRP does, all as one protocol. It's a bridge currency, settlement token, and it's a liquidity token. There are some tokens that are only settlement tokens. You do know that, right? Okay, and that's why they have these certain limitations. XRP doesn't have that limitation. They're making sure XRP can do everything possible. So, when you're talking about XRP, you're literally holding a stick of dynamite waiting to explode because all parties involved are fired up to get that price up. When that switch is flipped, when that SEC case is over, don't get me wrong. They still have years to go to set up infrastructure. Ripple has said it. Ripple said in one of their documents, go read ripple.com. One of their documents, they said 4 years. 4 years. Bank of International Settlements said 3 to 5. And then JP Morgan said what? 2 to 3, something like that. You guys know, you have the PDFs. So still have some time. But what I'm saying is every party, when it comes to XRP, every party involved benefits from that price going up. Okay, so, and that's another beautiful thing. Even if some parties wanted to use XRP in a closed ecosystem, it doesn't even matter. Why? Because the very fact that anyone who uses it outside of the closed ecosystem, including large business institutions, not commercial banks, not central banks, keep in mind that the B2B cross-border remittance market is huge. We're talking hundreds of trillions of dollars. Keep that in mind. But everyone involved benefits from that price going up, especially Ripple, large business institutions. They all have this realization. They sat in the briefings. They've had meetings with Ripple. And because on-demand liquidity is patented and Ripple not only is developing the biggest blockchain liquidity pool, but is only going to be expanding it. They can't lose in that. They need liquidity. Let me tell you something right now. They need liquidity, especially if they're going to be treating stable coins as digital cash, right? So USDC as an example, and this would also help to negate. I don't know how they might want to do this, but let's say Tether has certain issues. They could balance that out if they use a liquidity offering. If ever they have problems that people anticipate Tether might have, they could balance that out with the liquidity of something like Ripple. But anyway, we don't need to really discuss that too deeply. But if they're going to use, let's say USDC, a one-to-one peg stablecoin, and it's being used like digital cash, they've had issues with cash outright as far as having small liquidity crisis with the banks. The banks hemorrhaging money, liquidity crisis coming. The banks having bank runs all over the world, whether it's for lockdown, because of lockdowns, political strife, wars, it doesn't matter. They've all suffered these liquidity crises. They can't give people the cash. They have no liquidity. So then enter something like Ripple, right? Enter something like Ripple. Ripple ensures you will never have a liquidity crisis, which means what? Which means now not only will you always have the cash on demand, one, but then you have happy customers, two, which means then if the customers are happy, now they're able to trust you with more of their money. There's more transactions going through. That's three. Then on top of that, maybe with certain integrations, now some of your processes are taking place round the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Which means more money is moving through that banking system. Let's circle it back around to Ripple, because that's where we really, not really we, but XRP is where we come in, right? It makes that XRP price consistent and consistently going up because they're increasing in business. Now that loosens up money that they can play with. Maybe they make more investments around, sprinkle the money around. So they have more money coming in. And then what do? They put that into XRP to increase the liquidity pool, right? Then on top of that, keep in mind that the bigger the transaction going through, the better, the smoother it will go through. Then you can condense a lot of that data, which is everything that ISO is all about, right? New messaging standard. But why do they need a new messaging standard? Why? Answers itself, doesn't it? So you have all of these things going on. XRP is going to explode. But let's read just a little bit further here. Each individual CBDC can create its own rules and policies that best suit its domestic market. So that's another great thing. So keep in mind, a lot of people will continue to hold their XRP and spend the value of that XRP as opposed to cashing it out into a degenerating dollar, right? A dollar that's losing value, or any of these other fiat around the world that stand to lose value because of the different economic situations that they're going through, right? So then people have a lot to consider. Do I cash out into something that could lose value, or do I keep it in XRP? Do I stake that XRP somewhere? You got a lot of options on the table, right? So then you have that. So people are going to be holding XRP, which is going to also, if we're talking about retail, the little bit of retail that's still available, and it's not going to be a lot at all. There's so many banks that are willing and waiting to use XRP. They're going to buy up everything in sight. They're going to buy. The more XRP they hold, the bigger of the liquidity pool they control. Don't forget that there is sort of a power struggle going on. Similar thing will happen with XLM, in my humble opinion. But it's going to happen more with XRP because this is what it's made for. We're talking about interbank payments. They want control over something that's that high in value. So the more XRP you have, when it comes to, let's say they have like a governance type of thing going on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is where the Bank of International Settlements was talking about the illusion of like decentralized finance, where they're talking about how decentralized finance is what do they call that? It's actually centralized, right? Because of the particular holdings of liquidity pools. Like, as if you hold this large amount of liquidity pool, when it comes to voting and control over the liquidity, you have that power. So really, it's not centralized. It's really centralized decentralization. It's really centralization with the illusion of decentralization, right? So just think about that. Then apply that to XRP, which has way more value than a lot of these coins that are being utilized in liquidity pools right now when it comes to DeFi. Maybe I'm wrong. But when you're talking about value that high, there is no way you don't think that each of those commercial banks, maybe they come into agreements and they say, hey, we're all going to hold an equal amount of XRP. That way, no one party controls the liquidity pools. That seems rational and reasonable in my humble opinion, unless the supervisory bodies are going to step in and they're buying up a bounty or let's just say it like that. They're buying up a bounty of XRP so that they can continue to be the, what do you call that? They can continue to be the supervisory bodies and have that mechanism of control, sort of like what they did with SDRs. So now you saw what they did. Like, let's take an example, right? I hope you guys are following me in thought. My apologies if I'm not as eloquent as I usually am, but I have like a billion thoughts going on all at one time. You saw how the IMF treated, was it El Salvador, right? That's using Bitcoin. Actually, it's Bitcoin over Algorand. So really what they're doing is utilizing Algorand, okay? And I anticipate them to fully switch over to Algorand and be using Algo for everything, because Bitcoin is just inefficient at what they're trying to do with it. There's been certain problems, hence why they brought in Algorand to do all of their infrastructure. Okay, but anyway, IMF stepped in and IMF said, hey, we don't want you using Bitcoin. It's not one of their coins. It's not a banking coin. They don't, but they are able to tell them, even though El Salvador rebelled against them, and I'm all for rebellion. I don't support following authority figures and being told what to do too often if I think I have a better way. But anyway, even though El Salvador rebelled, why did the IMF feel like they had leverage to lean on El Salvador in the first place? Because of the systems that they have, like SDRs, and using SDR value to issue loans. Because they have that power, they have control over SDRs. So they're able to tell countries what to do if they want those loans, if they want that financing, things like that. They want credit lines issued, right? So the supervisory bodies might step in and buy up the bulk of that particular XRP circulating supply so that they can retain that type of power. That is a possibility. And let me tell you something. If they do that, that price will explode. If they choose to take on XRP as the new SDR, because remember, the SDR failed. What does the World Economic Forum say? I told you before to look that article up. World Economic Forum, SDR, and it should pop up, okay? The World Economic Forum said that the SDR was supposed to be the first one world currency where they used it as an agnostic bridge, but they didn't. They weren't able to do it. I don't remember why, right? But they weren't able to do it. But if they choose to use XRP in that way as the new one world agnostic currency to succeed where SDRs failed, that price is going to explode. Trust me on this. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't want to be. Smell that money. So, things are looking good. You know what's funny? We went through that whole video. I barely got through like a little paragraph. I have a whole like 2 pages here I wanted to get through. And then I have this other document here from Ripple.com. We didn't even make it to that. I'm not going to hold you up too long. It's Sunday. All right. So we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.